Some movies just stay with you. Ghosts of Mississippi is one of those films for me. I first saw it when I was younger, during that wave of race-focused dramas that came out in the 80s and 90s. A Time to Kill, Mississippi Burning, The Color Purple. Films that put America's ugly history of racism on screen, not in a textbook, but in stories you could feel. And while the true heroes of the civil rights movement were Black Americans who stood up for their own rights, this film is about what can happen when people work together across that divide, when persistence meets conscience and justice finally has a chance. The soul of this film is Whoopi Goldberg as Myrlie Evers, the widow of Medgar Evers. I think people sometimes forget how powerful of an actress Whoopi Goldberg is, because she's done so much comedy and television since. But here, she's incredible, heartbreaking, inspiring, and unshakable. Myrlie's fight for justice stretched across decades. Her husband was murdered in 1963, and she never gave up pushing for accountability. Watching Whoopi bring that quiet determination to life, it hits you. She gives the movie its emotional core. Then you've got Alec Baldwin as Bobby DeLauder, the assistant DA who finally takes the case to trial in the 1990s. His character arc is fascinating. He doesn't agree with the racism around him, but he hasn't really stood against it either. It's through working with Myrlie and admiring her strength that he decides to put himself on the line. That's where the film becomes not just a courtroom drama, but a story about courage rubbing off on other people. And then there's James Woods as Byron Beckwith, the man who murdered Medgar Evers. Woods plays him with such conviction that you absolutely hate him from the second he's on screen. It's chilling, but it's also what makes the courtroom scene so gripping. What I love about this movie is that it's not just about convicting Beckwith, it's about the community itself. How Mississippi, in just a few decades, shifted enough that a jury could finally do what 2 earlier trials refused to. That change is as much the story as the verdict. And the film doesn't sugarcoat it. It reminds you, racism didn't vanish. People still protected Beckwith for years. Progress was real, but it was never complete. That's why this movie hits me so hard every time I rewatch it. It shows us how principles matter, how justice can take decades, but persistence makes it possible. And it also reminds us that what feels normal in one moment, violence, prejudice, treating other humans as lesser, can look horrifying in hindsight. Ghosts of Mississippi isn't just a political history lesson. It's a well-acted, tightly directed, genuinely entertaining courtroom drama. But more than that, it's a reminder of where we've been and how important it is not to forget the fight for justice. That's what makes it, for me, a true forgotten gem.